Okay. My name's Nancy Gilmour. My piece is called Speaking Out. And before I begin it, I would like to thank Terry Silverman, my writing coach and teacher who helped me prepare. Speaking out. I'm an actor and an interpreter in Italian and French. Interpreting. It's about losing myself in the persona of whoever I'm interpreting for, being an empty channel for their personality to come right through. It's like being on stage in the guise of someone else, never as Nancy Gilmour. It's being an actor. It's how I discovered my true nature, first an actor and then an interpreter. I used to think all interpreters were like me, interpreting the persona and not just strings of words. Yet I kept getting comments at depositions and lawyers' offices like, wow, when you interpret, the whole personality of the deponent comes through. And I would think, well, yeah, how else do you interpret? Until I did my first conference. Conference interpreting is simultaneous. I'm only 3 words behind a speaker who is usually way at the other end of the room, and he's racing along because he's speaking from a written text, which is usually not made available to the interpreters. And there are always 2 of us in the interpreting booth, spelling each other every 30 minutes because it's so stressful. So it's my first conference. And the guy is a motivational speaker who actually climbed Mount Everest. So my 30 minutes are coming to an end. And just now, for demonstration purposes, I'll do the interpreting part both in Italian and French, so you can hear it. So the speaker's saying, we were finally there, on the mountain. It was the dream of a lifetime. Finalement, on était là, sur la montagne. C'était le rêve de toute une vie. Finalmente, eravamo lì sulla montagna. È stato il sogno di una vita. I signaled to my booth partner to take over. I could hardly believe it was coming true. We were there on Everest. Je pouvais à peine croire que ça se réalisait. On était là sur Everest. Non potevo credere che il sogno si realizzava. Eravamo lì su Everest. Oh my God! What a shock! She just drained the speaker of all emotion. I mean, and the more conferences I did, the more monotone booth partners I got, the more obvious it became. I'm just this odd duck. The emotion of the speaker passes right through my body, and that's what I'm transmitting when I interpret. Until I spent a year interpreting for a well-known French director. It was the first time I was called on to say something that was so contrary to my nature, I couldn't do it, even though they weren't my words. We're in a production office at Fox, in front of a handful of executives, as I interpret for the director. One of the Fox guys goes, yeah, so I just went out and got myself a new car. Alors, je me suis acheté une nouvelle voiture. Ah oui, laquelle tu as prise? Yeah, which one did you take? Well, I got exactly the one I wanted, a red Mustang. Exactement celle que je voulais, une Mustang rouge. Oh, ça, c'est une voiture de PD, ça. That's a fag car. Oh my God. Sweet mother of God. There is no way I can let those words out of my mouth. Me, screamingly liberal Nancy, I am going to sound like a bigot, even if they're not my words. Plus, I happen to know one of the executives in the room is gay. So this director doesn't realize he's about to jump off a cliff. I gotta save him. C'est une voiture de PD, ça. Oh, God. I pray to be swallowed up whole into the floor rather than interpret what he's just said. And in the pin drop silence that suddenly reigns, it occurs to me there are 2 bilingual French people in this group. So if I gloss over this and don't translate exactly, I'm dead meat, because they'll tell the director later and he will be so pissed. Oh. So I just go, putain, je peux pas traduire ce que tu viens de dire, c'est inacceptable ici. Fuck, I can't say what you've just said, it's not acceptable here. Ah oui? Inacceptable. parle. Alors tu vas traduire exactement ce que j'ai dit. Oh yes, unacceptable? You're going to translate exactly what I said. Exactement. All eyes are on me. It's a fag car. Uncomfortable twitching, shiftings all around, weak smiles, a raised eyebrow or two. Somebody steps in to save the day, makes a joke, changes the subject, and life goes on. The next day, I am grilled in private by the brave Fox executive who wants to know the director's attitudes toward homosexuals. Again, I look to the floor for salvation. Luckily, the truth is also the most palatable answer to, do I think this guy is a homophobe? No, I don't. It's just that in France, making slighting remarks about gays still goes under the guise of socially acceptable, even from people who would never wish them ill. By then, I've hung around with this director long enough to know he was no gay basher. I don't add that the director stubbornly insists on the righteousness of his position and frankly doesn't give a damn about accommodating those cultural differences he considers foolish at best. Welcome to Film Directing 101. More importantly, as a woman, it pains me that this kind of slight is still acceptable in France, as the director assures me later. I'm thinking, you're asking me to say something that slights gays when, up until very recently, women had to endure the same kind of nonsense as gays, or risk the usual penalty paid by those who stand up for themselves. You people have no sense of humor, which was exactly what the director said to me in the car on the way home later. Ah, les Américains, vous n'avez aucun sens d'humour dans ce pays. Oh, you Americans, you have no sense of humor in this country. Would I do it any differently today? I doubt it. Somehow I have to be one of those people who stand up for themselves, who see themselves in others who are in trouble. I'm reminded of the famous sermon by a German pastor in World War II. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.